Hi guys, this is bow tie front top sewing tutorials. Let's get started. The pattern got sleeves, lower front bodice, lower back bodice, front bodice, side front bodice, middle back bodice, side back bodice, 4 cm with bias tail, 6 pieces of bow tie, and neck ruffles. Pick side and middle front bodice pieces. Matching up dart seam of side and middle bodice together. Stitch on the seam and press the seam. Now we have got 4 pieces of front bodice. Next process is back bodice. We will do the same method as the front bodice piece. Matching up dart seam of middle back and side back bodice. Stitching and press the seams. And we have got 2 pieces of back bodice. Then assemble front and back bodies together by stitching on side seam. Match side seam and shoulder seam of front and back bodies together. Stitching on side seam and shoulder seams. And press the seam after stitchings. Now we have got 2 pieces of top bodies. Adding garter ruffles on neck seams. Prepare the garment by stitching rolled hem on ruffle pieces for finishing on one side. Then apply gathering stitches to another side. Left the dress tails about 2 or 3 inches at start and end. Pull the bobbin thread to create evenly distributed gathers. Secure the death tail at each end with a knot. Pin the gathered seam to the adjoining seam. Left about half an inch from center front seam. Mark the notch point on center back seam. And pin for matching up center notch together. Matching up the seam around neckline. Left half an inch from middle front seam. Sew from gathered side and press on the seam allowance only, facing away from the gathers. Assemble showing piece with lining piece, with right side together, matching up the seam and notches point. Stitch along the neckline and apply retain stitch towards the lining. Retain stitches shown from the inside of the garment edge. Next is applying bow tie on the garment. Stitching half an inch seam allowance along bow tie pieces. There are 6 bow tie pieces for this top, and press on it. Pin the straps to the right side garment. There are marking points in the patterns. and stitch in place with inseam allowance. Pin the lining onto the garment, right side together. Repeat with another side. Stitch the seam allowance together. Apply return stitch by fold the seam allowance to the lining side and return stitch to the seam allowance on the lining side. And press the seam. And apply bar cuff to the top. Stitch on bra toward the lining. Now grab the lower back bodice. Overlock center back seam first. Plait right side together. Stitch on the seam with inseam allowance. Braid the seam and overlock the side seam. Now grab front lower bodice that the pieces have got overlocked the side seam already. Plait front pieces with back piece right side together. Pin on side seam and stitch with inseam allowance. Braid the seam after stitching on it. Stitch one seam allowance center up hem for the finishing of center front seam. And braid the seam after stitching on it. Next step is the assemble top and lower together. Place lower together with bodice, matching up the seams and pin them together. Stitch on waistline with inseam allowance. Overlock and braid the seam after that. Now we seam almost perfect. Now, grab sleeve pieces. Apply two gathering stitch. 1. Start stitch from notch point of the left side to notch point on the right side. And second, on the waistline, leaving long thread tails that start and end. Pull the bobbin thread to create gathers. On armhole, make sure the total length are matched with armhole circumference. And on waistline should length about 10 to 13 inches. It's up to what you like. Right side together. Pin and seal the underarm seam together and overlock the seams. Add bias stripe on the waistline. The bias stripe length required from the length of waistline. Sew them to circle. Press right side together, matching lengthwise again and stitch the seams. Place the bias stripe along the edge of waistline. Pin right side together. And repeat another side. Stitch bias stripe onto garment using 1 cm seam allowance. Trim the hem about 0.5 cm. Turn the garment over and fold by a stripe. Cover the stitch line. Pin the edge for tracking by a stripe. And then stitch along the edge of bias stripe. Next, we will applying sleeve for the top. Pin the sleeve edge to the armhole edge from the inside of the sleeve. Do the same process with another sleeve side. Stitching along armhole on the sleeve side and overlock the hem after stitching on armhole. And last step, sew 1 cm seam allowance, turn it up hem. Stitch and press the hem. And this is the finished look of bow tie front top. Thanks for watching my videos and please follow me on my channel and my Etsy shop. Thank you.